Herkese merhaba arkadaşlar. Bugün webinarlarımızda sizinle İngiltere'den 6 farklı okuldan yetkilileri buluşturacağız. 6 farklı okul bunlar: Brunel Üniversitesi, Oxford Brookes, Queen Mary, SOAS University of London, St. Mary's University, University of York. Ve bu sırayla olacak. Yayınımızın tekrarında eğer kaçırırsanız daha sonrasında YouTube'dan izleyebileceksiniz. Sorularınızı da lütfen questions kısmından sorarsanız gözden kaçmaz. İyi seyirler diliyorum. Karen, can you start your presentation, please?
Hello.
Perfect, we can see it. Good luck.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today's webinar. Firstly, obviously, I hope you, your family and friends are still keeping well during these difficult times. My presentation today will give you a short overview about Brunel University, so you can find out and discover a little bit more about what we have to offer. We are still working towards a September intake, but in light of changes, we are reviewing the possibilities and flexibilities around this. And I can mention a little bit more in a moment. But let's start. So where are we? Well, Brunel is located in the west of London. We are 15 minutes away from Heathrow Airport, and our local town is Uxbridge. That's just a 20-minute walk away. Now, Uxbridge has the shopping centres and the bars and the restaurants, and you can also get the London Underground into central London within around about 45 minutes. So it's a great location to be in, not as hectic as central London, but being West London, it is more affordable prices. So Brunel is a single-site London campus. So it is home to 14,000 students, with around about 20% that are international students. As you can see, all the facilities are on the one site. So not only your lectures, the library, medical centre, coffee shops, places to eat, sports facilities, but your accommodation is also on campus. So we have 4,500 rooms on campus, and we guarantee the accommodation for international students for all their years of study. So as long as you obviously apply by the accommodation deadline dates they set. The accommodation is around about £115 per week for a standard room, and it goes up to around about £160 per week for an ensuite room. But lots of details are on our website on that. So at the university, we do offer a wide range of subjects, as you can see here. So courses in the UK are not only theoretical, but they're practical based. So what you learn in your classroom, your lectures, you then can put it into practice. And here are some pictures of examples of that. For instance, for law, we have a moot court. So again, what you're learning in your classrooms and your lectures, you will then go to the moot court. Sometimes you're in your robes, and we have guest judges that come in with their wigs on, and you could be acting on behalf of a claimant or a defendant in a mock trial. We also have, in the middle picture, is our aerospace engineering students. So we have the latest technology and equipment that you could be using for practical, whether it's designing model aeroplanes and things like that. We also have a flight simulator, wind tunnels as well. And finally, you see here with the biomedical sciences students, you have, again, the latest technology and equipment you would be using for your hands-on experiments there. Now, over 95% of our undergraduate courses do have a work placement option within the degree. And those that don't have their work placement option, you do have opportunity to do internships instead. And we do have, you do get support from our professional development centre. So you have access to their first class coaching, their mentoring, and networkings with links with over 1,500 different companies. For postgraduate students, we offer the courses that have work placements as well for economics and business. So it's either a 6-month placement or a 1-year placement, which is taken after the dissertation. And as I mentioned, all our courses start in the September. However, we do have some master's courses that start in the January time, as well as we have distance learning. So as I mentioned, we are looking into the structures, especially with COVID-19. So some developments we're thinking of is developing a dual delivery approach to our programs. This means our programs will run in parallel tracks online and on campus. So you'll be able to move between the 2 tracks depending on travel or lockdown restrictions. We're also looking at perhaps having a January start for some of our undergraduate programs, but there'll be more information on the 23rd of May that we can update you on that. So for our entry requirement for Brunel University London, for undergraduate students, we look for an average grades from year 10 to year 12. Most of our courses is 75% as an average grade. For English language, we accept IELTS, whether IELTS, the IELTS indicator, TOEFL, TOEFL at home, Cambridge Advanced Certificate, and we now are accepting Duolingo, Passwords, and we have an online Brunel English language test. The online Brunel English language test currently is free, that you can apply on the website, and we will help you assist that, and there's lots of more information. For postgraduate students, usually our degree programs are 2-2. So what that means is that we're looking for students that's achieving between a 2.4, 2.8 GPA, and that's depending on the university studied at. And again, English language, we look at the IELTS, we look at all the different English language requirements as set out for undergraduate students. But in addition to that, we acknowledge that some degrees are taught in the medium of English. So in that instance, we will accept some certain degrees as long as you prove that you have been taught of the medium of English. And there's a list of them here on our website. Yes, it's about studying hard and working hard, but make sure you have fun as well. So we have over 150 different clubs and societies, ranging from traditional sports to extreme activities like skydiving, scuba diving. But then we have the more relaxing pastimes, whether it's baking, photography, or choir practice. There's something for everybody, but remember, you're making friends from all over the world. So finally, connect with us. We have a virtual open day for our undergraduate students this Friday on the 15th of May. We then have a postgraduate open day on the 20th of May. But you can also chat to our students. Our student ambassadors are there and happy to share their experiences with you. Check out our social media, check out the website, all updated information around questions that you may have in light of COVID-19, but you've got my contact details there as well. So that's it from me for Brunel University London, and as I say, we're answering questions at the end. And it will now be Lucy.
Thank you so much, Karen. We will see you in the questions part again.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Can you share your screen, please?
Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yep, perfect.
Great. Okay, welcome everyone. Hoş geldiniz. Nasılsınız? That's all I know, I'm afraid. I am trying to learn some Turkish, but haven't managed to get very far. Yeah, as Karen said, really hope that you're all doing okay. We do understand this is a very difficult time for everybody at the moment for lots of different reasons. So it's great that we can all join together at the moment and be able to have this time to have some questions and to find out a little bit more. And hopefully you are still keen to pursue your UK studies at some point, even if it's not quite what you'd planned for how this was going to turn out at the moment. So I'm going to talk to you about Oxford Brookes. I hope that many of you have heard of Oxford as a city. I'm sure that maybe not all of you have heard of Oxford Brookes. So I'll tell you a little bit about that and how we're different. My name's Lucy and I work in our global recruitment team. So I look after Turkey and lots of other countries within the Europe region as well. So just to zoom straight in actually onto our location. So we've already mentioned Oxford. That is something that is a fantastic advantage actually of Oxford Brookes University. So many of you will have heard of Oxford University, which is the very old traditional university, and it's very famous worldwide. Oxford Brookes is actually a separate place. So we're a modern university. We are actually the #1 modern university in the UK. So we have a good reputation, but in a very different way. So we like to say that we're the fun university in Oxford. I'm not sure whether Oxford University would agree. So we are a modern university, and the benefit of having 2 universities in one city is it's actually, it makes Oxford a student city. So actually 1 in 4 adults in the city are students, which means that the social life that you have, the activities that you can do, all of them are geared towards students. So there's plenty that you can do outside of your classes to have a good time. But also the city really lends itself very well to help and facilitate your studies, whatever it is you might be studying. So if you were an architecture student, for example, or an art student, the architecture in Oxford is absolutely spectacular, next to none, I would say. So it's such an inspiring place to be able to study. We have lots of museums, art galleries, cultural activities that you can do that would complement your studies. But Oxford is also a centre for industry and for enterprise. So it's right in the hub, really, of where a lot of industries and companies have their base. So it means that we have a lot of access to companies for work placements, for example, and also for mentoring opportunities. So there's lots of opportunities for finding placements during your degree. And that's something that I'll talk about in a little bit as well, because it's something we're really passionate about at Brookes in terms of providing you with hands-on learning through doing type teaching. We also have, because we're in the same city as Oxford University, one of the things that you can access as an Oxford Brookes student is the famous Bodleian Library. So this is a library that has access to every book that's been published. And usually it's just open to Oxford University students, but Oxford Brookes students can also use this at the same time. So that's a fantastic benefit. In addition to this, you can join the Oxford Union. And this is like a kind of debating club. So lots of guest speakers, it could be politicians or CEOs of companies or top designers. Lots of different people come and speak and give seminars and different sessions that you can join. Again, something that's usually just for Oxford University students, but as an Oxford Brookes student, you can also join the union. So it's a fantastic opportunity. I would be silly if I didn't mention how close we were to London. I know lots of you are very keen to be able to explore London during your studies as well. And it is a great city also to visit. So we are 1 hour away from London. You can get there by bus or by train. We've actually got buses where you can get a £10 ticket going straight outside our main campus into the city of London. And you can also get really easily to Heathrow, to Gatwick on buses as well. So it's very easy for you to get around. Just moving on to a few points about the university. So I mentioned that we have a good reputation as a young university. We're also a very international city. So Oxford is full of people from all over the world, which we think makes us a stronger and more exciting city. So about 17% of all of our students are from overseas, and they come from about 140 different countries. So as well as getting a good number of Turkish students who join us every year, we get students from all over the world. So it means you can make friends internationally. And we also have a very good reputation in certain subject areas. So some of these key areas are things like architecture, engineering, the arts, and lots of other programs as well, hospitality. So I'll just move on now to show you some of the courses that we have. So we have 4 faculties at the university. So this is the business school, health and life sciences, humanities and social sciences, and technology, design and environment. So you can kind of see, I know maybe a little bit small on your screens, but you can see some of the courses within that. But we do have a lot of programs to offer. Particularly, I would draw our attention to the technology, design and environment programs. So as I mentioned, the architecture, the computing, those programs have particular emphasis on mentoring. So we have lots of mentors from within the sector. We offer lots of live project opportunities. And with our motorsport courses, for example, we have really strong Formula One connections. So we have graduates in every Formula One team in the country. We also have a world reputation for hospitality. So that's another great course to be able to choose, but there's lots to choose from. And you can find out more on our website if you are interested as well. Just to mention our work placements then. So I said earlier that we really encourage students to have practical learning. Most of our degrees do offer you the chance to take a work placement. So if it's an undergraduate degree, this is what I'm talking about, specifically undergraduates, you can usually extend your degree by a year. So a normal 3-year degree would be extended into a 4-year degree, and you could apply for a placement at one of the companies with which we have a connection, or you can also find your own company, and we will have to obviously approve that we think it's a good fit for you and for your course. When it comes to postgraduate degrees, we don't have placements for all of our courses, but for a good number of them, particularly within business, we do have the opportunity for you to be able to take an extra year. So year 1 you would be studying, and year 2 you would be able to take a placement. And just a few examples of some of the placements we've had. So that includes BMW, Ferrari, and the Four Seasons. So that's something we would encourage you to do. Just to quickly go over our entry criteria. So for undergraduate students, we will accept your high school diploma, so your lycée diplômé. That starts from 70% normally, and foundation would start from 60%. We'd also accept your IB diploma if you're studying for IB or A-levels or any other equivalent qualification. And we'd look for an IELTS for any of these courses, so IELTS 6. If you have taken a different qualification, so if you're taking IB, we'd accept English from IB, or if you've taken a GCSE or something else, we're open to be able to consider different qualifications. So just let us know, email us if you have a query about that. For postgraduate, we also will accept your bachelor degree. So we start at a 2.4 GPA for 2.2 and 2.6 for a 2.1. A quick update on what we're doing for COVID-19. So we are planning for September intake to go ahead. As Karen mentioned for Brunel, we're having discussions about how this might look. So we're exploring options that include online provision and on-campus provision, and we will keep you updated if when we have a decision on that. But we are definitely planning for September intake to go ahead. We are accepting more alternative language qualifications for English, so you can find those on our website as well. And we're working on being flexible when it comes to admissions. So if you have an offer and you're worried that because you couldn't take your final exam, you might not have done as well, that is something that we are considering. We're making sure that we can be as fair as possible for students affected in that way. And the last thing is we would refund your deposit if you're no longer able to join us. So if you've paid your deposit already and then you want to defer your place a bit later, then we will allow you either to defer your deposit straight over, or we'll refund it to you if you're no longer able to join us. So we're trying to put in as much flexibility for you as possible. So just to conclude, here are my contact details. So you can email me, you can WhatsApp me, or get in touch another way through the website. Follow our social media channels, so Oxford Brookes. If you type in Oxford Brookes into Instagram and Facebook, you'll find us. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Lucy. We will see you in the question and answer part.
Thank you.
Now it's Josh. Hello.
Hey. So I'll just share my screen. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, we can see it.
Okay. Great. So yeah, just to echo what everyone else has said so far, welcome to this talk. My name is Josh Ibrahim from Queen Mary University of London. Thank you for taking the time out. And we do send out well wishes to everyone. We hope everyone's okay, everyone's family's okay in these strange and difficult times. So just to give you a little bit of background about Queen Mary as an institution. So we were established in 1785 in Mile End, which is in the east end of London. If any of you are familiar with the London Underground map, we're located in Zone 2 and about 15 to 20 minutes on the London Underground away from central London. The university itself is an amalgamation of a couple of different colleges. So London Hospital Medical College, St Bartholomew's Medical College, also known as Barts, Westfield College and Queen Mary College. Although two of those institutions are obviously heavily related to the medical field, we are a wide-ranging university. And as I go through this presentation, I'll show you the 3 different faculties that the university has had and the broad range of subjects that we cover. We have 9 Nobel Prize winners associated with the university, and the latest of which was Sir Peter Ratcliffe, who won the Nobel Prize last year for his contribution to medicine. I think a really important thing to note about Queen Mary as an institution is our international outlook and our global profile. So this pervades all areas of the university, from our students to our staff, to the topics and the degree programs that we cover, to the research where our academics and our students are, which fields they're doing their research in, but also our global engagement and the international partnerships that we have across the globe. We're ranked in the top 20 for our international outlook in the Times Higher Education rankings, and also in those rankings in terms of our general university's reputation. We're ranked 12th in the UK and 110th in the world. We're also a member of the prestigious Russell Group, which some of you may have heard of. So just to reinforce this image, we have 27,000 students currently studying at Queen Mary with us, 162 different nationalities. About 9% of those students are from the EU and 35% are overseas students. So really just under half of our population are international. We also have over 4,000 students in China studying in our dual degree programs. So this really gives you a flavor of our international outlook. So as I said previously, the university itself is broken down into 3 different faculties. You'll see on your screen now all of the different subject areas we cover and a couple of different rankings for those subject areas. So our first faculty and our biggest faculty is our Faculty of Humanities and Social Science, which covers everything from business management to history to law and to politics and international relations. The Science and Engineering faculty is pretty self-explanatory, but it looks after our engineering programs, so that ranges from mechanical to biomedical to electronic, and also our biological, chemical, and physics kind of scientific programs. Our third faculty is Barts in the London School of Medicine, which looks after our medical programs. In terms of the entry requirements for Turkish students, so we do accept the Lycée Diploma for both foundation and undergraduate study. All students taking the Lycée Diploma, providing they get 70% overall with 65% in relevant subjects, will be eligible to go on to our foundation programs. We would also take the Lycée Diploma from certain schools which are listed on our website. So there's about 35 schools where we'd accept the Lycée Diploma for direct entry. If your school is not on that list, it would be a case of taking the foundation program. Also, as the other universities have spoken about, we would also accept A-level students, IB students. If you're taking the American system as well, we have set entry requirements for those. For undergraduates, if you are of one of those schools, the entry requirements tend to range from 70% to 90%, depending on which program it is that you want to take. For postgraduate study, the entry requirements vary depending on the course that you are applying for, but most will require a GPA of around 3 out of 4 in your degree from a recognized university. Some of the programs, they go down to around 2.8 for postgraduate study. And if you're a PhD applicant, we would require a master's degree typically, but if you've got good research experience in a relevant field and only a bachelor's program, it may be possible to consider you. And General English requirements tend to be 6.0 to 7.0, depending on the program. We do accept a wide range of equivalent qualifications as well. GCSE English would be acceptable. IB English, if you're taking the IB program, that would meet our entry criteria. And we are looking at expanding the different English language provisions that we take because of the COVID situation. And I'll touch on that in one of my later slides as well. So in terms of our accommodation, so this is available to all first-year undergraduate students. We have over 2,500 rooms for undergraduates and 500 rooms available for postgraduates. The fees range to £130 to £205. For all undergraduate students, this is on-campus accommodation, and this includes the cost of bills, cleaning of communal areas, and also your Wi-Fi as well. And there are options, depending on which area of the price point you're at, to include ensuite bathrooms, and there's also shared bathrooms as well at the lower end, and there's also meal plan options. The deadline to apply for this guaranteed accommodation for our undergraduate firm students is the 31st of May. So if you are holding your offer and you haven't made an accommodation application yet, we would strongly encourage you to do so. We also have provision for our postgraduate students. So these are located in Stratford in London, which is one stop away on the Underground. And also we have some halls of residence, which are 5 minutes away from the main campus in Mile End. If you are an offer holder, there is an announcement regarding our postgraduate accommodation provision later today, which unfortunately I can't go to right now. But if you want any more details after this event, then please contact me. My contact details will be available on the last slide. We do have scholarships for our students as well, depending on the subject that you're taking for. Most of these scholarships are awarded on the basis of academic merit and typically range between £2,000 to £4,000, either off the first year of your study or throughout the programme. We have a database for our scholarships and bursaries on our website, and you can filter that out by nationality, by subject level, and by subject. So just to touch upon the provisions that Queen Mary are doing for the COVID-19 situation, our current policies and our contingency plans. So as the universities that have spoken have said so far, we're still expecting the course to start in September. We're obviously monitoring this situation and planning for various different scenarios. So this will be either a mixture of online and on-campus provision or the possibility of delayed and alternative start dates as well. All of these possibilities are considered, and I think the most likely option is it will be a mix of all of these for most of the programs. If you're not able to take an English test, you haven't taken your IELTS, what are your options? So we have introduced a number of pre-sessional English study modes to help students affected by this. So we have a fully online 5, 9 and 13-week pre-sessional program. Currently, we're still offering a blended program where you'll start this program online and then start on campus for the last 5 weeks, and a solely on-campus 5-week program. But this is again subject to change depending on the situation. We're accepting the TOEFL IBT Home Edition now for entry onto all of our degree programs. And if you haven't got an IELTS, but you would still like to take the pre-sessional program, we're accepting Duolingo. And we're also looking at a number of different English language options. So this isn't a definitive list by any means. We're continually adding to it, and it's all available on the coronavirus FAQ section of our website. So this is my name. These are my details. If you want to contact me after today's event, that's my email address. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Josh. And now, Salima. Welcome, Salima.
Hi. Hello, marhaba. I'm just going to share my screen now.
Okay.
Can you see this?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Salima. I work at SOAS, so I'm the UK and Europe Student Recruitment Manager. I also studied at SOAS. I did my undergraduate and my master's degree at SOAS. Just to echo what everyone else has said, I hope you and your families are all well and safe. We are going through quite a strange time at the moment, but hopefully we'll see it through. And I'm just going to briefly talk to you about SOAS, just an overview. If you have any questions, you can pop them into the question box. If it's specific to SOAS, please put SOAS in the question, so we know it's for this institution specifically. So just to give you an overview, SOAS is a university that was founded in 1916. It is a specialist institution, so it specializes in the studies of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. It is also one of the University of London colleges. So University of London is made up of 18, maybe 19 sometimes, colleges, and it's essentially like a federal grouping. You've got Queen Mary, Royal Holloway, SOAS, UCL, etc. So in addition to being individual institutions, we also have access to each other's facilities. So as a University of London student, you can use LSE's library, or you can join some of the unions that are outside of your institution. SOAS itself is quite a small university, so we have 5,500 students in total. We pride ourselves in academic excellence. So we are a research-led institution. We currently have 6 subjects in the UK top 10. We are global top 50 for arts and humanities, and we have 90% satisfaction in our teaching, which is the highest in London. As a small institution, we have small class sizes. So that is one of the benefits. So if you'd rather have a small group session, or you prefer one-to-one interactions or smaller group interactions, then that's the benefit of being at a smaller institution. We offer flexible and interdisciplinary degrees. I'll show you the courses later, but the degree options that we have are all very globally focused. And although we specialize in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, everything's taught from an international perspective. But it also means in most of our programs, there's some interdisciplinary element. So even if you're studying politics, for example, you can take some modules of economics or development studies within your program. And we have a diverse and international student population. So as the others have mentioned, I mean, most universities have quite a diverse population in general. We have over 140 nationalities at SOAS, but we have over 55% from outside of the UK, so it's one of the most diverse universities in the world. So it's a small but very mixed institution that gives you a truly global feel to everything that you experience at SOAS. And we're located right in the centre of London. So this map here just shows you where we are, with the SOAS and the little yellow kind of tree. We're based in Bloomsbury, which is a kind of quieter, slightly green area, but surrounded by absolute chaos in any direction. So you've got the main shopping area just 5 minutes away. So Oxford Street, which is equivalent to Istiklal in Istanbul, is just 5 minutes walk. You have access to the museums. The British Museum is right next to SOAS. You have access to the British Library, which is the National Library. SOAS also has a national library, so we are the National Library for the Study of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So you have access to lots of things in the centre of London. We're very short walking distance to lots of tube stations, and you get a discount as a student in London. You get 30% off all transport for London, which includes underground, overground buses, etc. So if you, in terms of accommodation, it's not on this map, but it's near King's Cross Station, so it's about a 15-minute walk from where we are. And King's Cross also has St Pancras Station, which if you wanted to escape to Paris or the Netherlands, then you're just a couple of hours away by train. We're also on the same tube line as Heathrow Airport, so it's very easy access to Heathrow, also to City Airport, so very connected in terms of location. Moving on to the subject. So SOAS kind of focuses specifically on arts and humanities, languages and cultures, and law and social sciences. So we have 3 main kind of areas of study. Within that, there are different departments that we offer courses in. So anything from kind of politics and law to African studies and Near and Middle Eastern studies. With the area studies, they include language, culture, literature, and society. And some of the other courses are wider reaching than just what the subject appears to be. So the focus is always more international. If you're looking at politics, you're looking at global politics and international relations in addition to international studies and diplomacy. A lot of the subjects at SOAS you can take at undergraduate level joint. So if you were doing law, for example, you could do law and Chinese, or you could do music and history, or you could do combination courses. We also offer languages from scratch, so you don't need to have any prior knowledge of the languages we offer. The postgraduate, so we have over 350 degree combinations at undergraduate level. We have over 115 degrees at master's level. We also offer research in these areas as well. We also have foundation programs, and that is pre-masters and pre-degree. In terms of languages, this map here will give you an indication as to the languages that we offer at SOAS. They are non-European and they start from scratch, so no prior knowledge is required. You're looking at anything from Turkish, which I'm sure you all know, to Arabic, Somali, Zulu, Bengali, and all sorts of other wonderful programs in languages from around the world. And you don't need to have a background in any of them. If you decide to take languages at undergraduate level, be it on its own or combined with something else, so say, for example, you decided to take Japanese and history, then your Japanese course will include a year in Japan. So for most of the languages, you'd spend 1 year in that country. And that's just to make sure that you're fluent in that language by the end of your degree at undergraduate level. At master's level, you can take a minor in a language with any degree. So if you were doing, for example, Middle East politics, and you decided you wanted to take a little bit of language on the side, you can take some Persian or maybe some Hebrew as a minor option. But we do have some degrees where you can take intensive languages for masters. Our masters are usually 1 year long, but the intensive language is 2 years with the summer spent abroad. So if you're doing, for example, history and Chinese, then you'd spend your summer in Beijing studying language there. So it's a fun way to kind of add another kind of dimension to your degree, no matter what you're studying. In terms of entry requirements, for undergraduate programs, we look for between 80 and 85%, depending on the program, from the Turkish diploma. And we also accept, obviously, IB and A-level and other requirements also. The IB requirements, also depending on the program, are between 35 and 37 IB points, with between 665 and 666 at higher level. And for postgraduate programs, we have a minimum requirement of 3.0 to 3.3 from an undergraduate degree program in Turkey. Students from selected top universities will be accepted with a minimum GPA of 2.8. And these are universities such as Boğaziçi, Koç, Sabancı, etc. So if you're from one of those universities, we will accept slightly lower entry requirements. And in terms of English, our English language requirements, usually for IELTS is 6.5 with a minimum of 6 in each subscore. And we accept other English language English language options as well. I will just move on to a COVID-19 update. So as others have mentioned, we are looking at ways of working with you and trying to kind of adjust so that we can accept students to start online or blended learning by September. So the aim is that we start in September. The idea is if it's not safe to be on campus, then it will start off online and then change to on campus when it's safe to do so. Our application deadline has now been extended to the 31st of July. So if you've not applied for master's programs, you still have until the 31st of July to apply. And we're also offering refundable deposits this year. Also in terms of entry requirements, if entry requirements if there are any concerns this year, we are being a little bit more flexible this year with entry requirements in general, just because of the way testing is happening around the world. We're also accepting Duolingo English language testing. So that's the kind of update, but it's being monitored, and we do have an FAQ section on the website that will help you with any other questions you might have in terms of COVID-19. So that kind of comes to the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the questions box, and my email address is at the bottom here. So if you think of anything later on, please note this down and drop me a line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salima. We will see you in the questions part. And now it's time for Greg from St. Mary's University.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Greg. I'm from St. Mary's University in London, so I hope you're okay. I'm going to show you the presentation now, so let me just share my screen. Okay. Can you all see the presentation?
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Well, St. Mary's University is also located in London, like a few of my colleagues here that you've seen today. So we're not too far from Brunel, who you saw at the start of this presentation. We're in southwest London, so a really nice part of the city, very safe, very green, just 30 minutes from the city centre, and also just 30 minutes from Heathrow Airport. So it's a really good balance. I'll tell you more about the local area and how you can experience the whole of London and all the benefits that that brings, but you can kind of live in this very nice, green, safe part of the city. We're a campus university, so we encourage students to live on campus. We want the university to be part of your life in every way, where you can live, study, work, play all together. These are some photos of the campus here. It's a very, very historic campus. It's a very beautiful campus. We've got these old buildings here, which have got classrooms, accommodation, offices. This white one you can see in the bottom right is actually open to the public as a kind of museum. But also we have modern facilities as well. Like these are our sports facilities we have here, and our labs for courses like nutrition, anything to do with business. We make sure it's the modern, the most modern that we can get. So it's a good balance between having a historic, prestigious campus and these modern facilities. So sport is very important for us. We're top in London from all the universities here for sport, both academically and outside of your course. So I'll tell you more about the courses later, but it's always worth considering that you can do a sports course for your degree or for your postgraduate, or you could do a non-sports course like business or law or international relations and benefit from our sports facilities on the side. So you'll see here that many of our students or former students took part in the Rio Olympics. We won many medals, and you see here the ranking. If the university were a country, we'd actually be 25th in the country league table, so almost the same as Canada, just from the St. Mary's students. So we can bring all this sporting prestige, excellence, knowledge into the courses. So to give you an idea about what we offer in terms of courses, we have a range of undergraduate and postgrad. These are the most popular ones here, and the most popular in terms of when I go to Turkey, what students ask me about, the interest we get from applications. So you'll see for undergraduate business courses, students often like to add on things like entrepreneurship. So if you want to be a businessman or businesswoman, or maybe add on marketing or finance. We have law type programs, such as standard law, so an LLB, but also things like international relations, criminology, it's becoming more and more popular, psychology. Like I mentioned, sports programs are very big for us. And for us here at St. Mary's, anything medical is more sports related. So if you want medicine to be a doctor or a nurse, it's not that kind of medicine. But if you maybe want to work with a sports team, for example, this is the type of medical courses we have. Things like nutrition, sports and exercise science, rehabilitation for injuries. We also have more management side, like sports management, sports psychology. We have education courses. So if you do want to teach, it is more difficult for international students to be accepted to these programs, but we have many international applicants. So education courses in terms of classroom-based ones, but also more theoretical or more managerial type courses as well. And then also the more kind of art, liberal art type courses, film, drama, acting, these are becoming more and more popular and more respected. We get more interest every year from international students to study things like drama, film and acting, because they realize that it is a valid degree. It's a very well respected degree. And that's very similar for our postgrad, for our master's offerings. So international business management, very popular one. The sports programs, again, nutrition. We have a few different nutrition programs, nutrition and genetics, human nutrition, and these law type programs like international relations, international business law, diplomacy. Now, all of the undergraduate courses come with a work placement. I'll tell you more about this later, but it's done as part of your course. It's done in the course. So you don't need to extend your course. You don't need to take a gap in your course. You do it like a module, almost like a class in the course. And that's open for any student doing any undergraduate course. And there are some at postgraduate level as well. Ask me more specifically about this. I can give you my email address. So if you've got any specific questions, then you can ask me that, and in the question box on this chat function. So our entry requirements. So these are the basic, the lowest entry requirements. We do look for higher, especially if you're looking for scholarship opportunities. We will want these grades to be a bit higher, but on average, we accept from 60% or above, and that's for direct entry. Okay, so not for foundations, for direct entry. If you're doing things like A levels or IB in an international school, 28 OB points, or about BBC or higher. Postgraduate, we need a GPA of 2.5 or higher. Again, this is the very minimum, so ideally we do want above, but we look at your whole application. So we look at your grades, we look at your personal statement, so like your letter of motivation, teachers' references, English scores, experience, resume, CVs. We look at all this to get a big picture of your application. So there is some flexibility. We have a very attractive accommodation offering. So we want students as much as we can to live on the campus, and university accommodation is guaranteed if you apply before the deadline. As much as we can, we try and have that on campus. If that's full, then we look for accommodation nearby. But it's a very nice neighborhood. So there's many big houses nearby which have spare rooms. There's other universities nearby, so there's lots of private accommodation offering. If you want to live on the campus, you'll see here, just to give you an idea of some of our prices, you don't need to be afraid that London is too expensive. Many people think of London, they think it's crazy expensive, but it doesn't have to be. You'll see our prices here start at a very good level, very good price for the whole academic year. And also that includes 2 meals a day. It includes your breakfast and your dinner that you have on the campus. It's a nice restaurant shared with students, staff, professors. It's good food, healthy, halal options, variety. I also eat there as well. So you're well catered for. So it's a good option if you're a bit nervous about living on your own for the first time, and also if price is an issue for you or something you really need to think about, these accommodation offerings make it a lot easier for you. So to give you an idea of the local area, so like I said, we're in southwest London, which is a very affluent, so a very wealthy part of the city, a very green part of the city, lots of parks. You'll see here riverside cafes, bars, restaurants, very nice area to live. I actually live near the university in this area, and I chose to live here, so that will tell you a lot about the neighborhood. Lots of historic buildings, so it's a really good balance. You've got the city centre with all the crazy shopping, crazy nightlife, culture, everything there, but you can come just 30 minutes back to this neighborhood. So it's a very, very good balance between city life and something a bit more relaxed, a bit more student friendly. So just to conclude, just to give you a few main points of why you should think about studying with us at St Mary's. We rank very highly in satisfaction rates, often the highest in London for overall student satisfaction or for course satisfaction. And that's very important for us. We want students to feel valued. We want you to feel like you're an individual student, not just a number. So we are a small university. We have about 5,000 students. So for the UK, that's small. And really, we want to keep it like that. We want you to feel as part of the community. So accommodation is guaranteed. If you apply before the deadline, as much as we can, we want that to be on the campus for you. You can live in a very safe part of the city. So we know that maybe you or your parents might be worried about moving to a big city, especially a big city like London, but we are in a very safe neighborhood. And like I mentioned, the campus is very important for us. And we have small classes on the campus. The teacher to student ratio is about 20 to 1 on average. So we want to keep it like that. We want you to know the professors. We want the professors to know you so that you get the best of your course. We have Olympic standard sports facilities, all work placements on undergraduate courses, and our fees make it affordable, or more affordable for many students. So you see the fees here. These are on the lower end. And again, that's to make it more achievable for you. There are scholarships available, not full scholarship. So please don't start asking about full scholarship. They are a discount from the first year. But to give you an idea, between 1,500 for postgraduate, for masters, and 3,000 for undergraduate. So please ask me about those. And just to finish, this is an aerial shot of the campus. So we've got the sports facilities here. We've got accommodation on the sides, we've got the teaching facilities here, even a Starbucks on the campus, which excites many students. You'll see that we're on the river. Definitely recommend that you check this link, check our website. You can see a virtual tour of the campus. You can fly in, fly around the campus, click different rooms, and check it out that way. So definitely have a look at this link here. Feel free to take my email. So it's my name, gregory.barron@stmarys.ac.uk, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have here in the chat box, or please send me an email. So I'll just stop sharing my screen now, I think.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Okay, thank you.
And now it's University of York, Sam.
Hello, everybody. Can I just check that you can hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Excellent. Okay. Right. Thanks for taking the time to stick around. It's always fun going last. But it's the downfall of being called York, because in alphabetical order, you're always at the bottom. Thankfully, that's not the case with the rankings. Quite frequently, we're at the top, ranked top 10 for many courses and top 20 overall, depending on what ranking system you look at. So it is a prestigious university, and I'm going to take you through the details. I'm just going to pull up this presentation first. So bear with me 1 second. Okay. So, guys, you should be able to see the presentation now. Just let me know if you can't. Right, I'm going to go with a quick update, and then some of the things that many of the universities have talked about already, I'll try not to repeat because I know it does get a bit repetitive. Okay, so similarly to the other universities, we are looking at a September start. None of us really know for certain whether that can go ahead, because it does depend on the COVID-19 circumstances. But we are all aiming for that September start, and we've got everything put in place to be able to make that happen. If for any reason things take a bit of a nosedive, then we will then consider January start dates. But currently, September is what we're aiming for. And there's a few things that we've put into place to try and make starting in September a bit easier. One of the things is that we're now delivering all of our English pre-sessional courses online with a 25% discount. We've reduced the English language entry requirements by 0.5. And also we've extended the scholarship deadline as well. And we're accepting things like TOEFL IBT. So TOEFL IBT is a test that you can take from home so that you don't have to go to an IELTS test centre. You can get your results through and then apply for one of our pre-sessional courses. Or if you meet the entry requirement, so if you get about 87 overall with 23 in writing and 21 in all of the components, you won't need to do that. Okay. So that's a quick update. But if you want to check the latest news, if you're an applicant, you've got an offer or you're waiting for an offer and you want to keep up to date, just go to the home screen of the website and look at the top of the page and you'll see a link to the COVID updates. Okay. So here's a bit about York. We are not in London like a lot of other presenters are. We are 2 hours from London on the fast train. There's a direct train connecting York to London. And if you get the fast one, there are no stops between, which is why it can get you there in 2 hours. The closest airport is Manchester if you want the major airport, and the train takes you right into the airport as well. So it's nice and easy. York has got the lowest crime rates out of all of the university cities in England and Wales. So it's really nice to know that you don't have to be aware of the parts of the city that you should avoid, because there aren't any. You can wander around freely and not worry for your safety. And it does give a really different feel. I've lived in a lot of cities in the UK and I've also lived overseas, and you can really tell when a place is safe. It makes a nice difference. It's a very creative city as well. And whilst it's located in the north of England, it's actually in the centre of the UK, making it really nice and easy to access all of the major cities by rail. Okay. It's a beautiful historic city with some of the oldest streets in Europe. So this is a picture of one of the areas within the city centre. It's actually a walled city. So it's a circular shaped city with a big medieval wall built around it to protect it. And you enter it through what once was drawbridge gates, which are now some small lanes, cobbled lanes to go through. And it's really, really beautiful, which is why it attracts tourism from all over the UK. York is not a big industrial city. It's the type of place that people would come to for a nice long weekend or a holiday. But it's firmly placed on the map because it's got such a high-ranking university on it. So that's a little image of the city centre there. It does have a river that runs through it, which is lined with bars and restaurants and cafes too. What you'll find in York is that whilst in other big major cities in the UK, you've got a lot of chain restaurants, chain clubs, chain most things. In York, it tends to not be like that. It tends to be very independent companies with a lot of character to them. And as you're walking around the streets, you can hear live music and see opera singers, violin players, street performers. And that's why I love it, because it's got real character and soul to it. So here's a bit about the university itself. So we're a fairly young university to be in what's called the Russell Group. So it does affect the teaching style. You might wonder why that matters if people keep saying it, but what we find is that a lot of the much older universities can tend to be a bit more traditional in the way that they teach, whereas we are a very hands-on, practical-based university, teaching through what we call problem-based learning, another more modern, teaching methods as well. We're a campus-based university. One thing to check if you've not applied yet and you're interested in going to the UK is whether the university is a campus or whether it's a city centre university. And the difference really is that on a campus, you've got a very secure, closed student village with 24-hour security on it, rather than a few buildings dispersed throughout the city centre, which can be very convenient, but you do lose that student village. Well, luckily at York, we've got that campus based right on the edge of the city centre, So you can easily walk in from the city centre onto campus, but a lot of people tend to get bicycles. You won't really need a car. Transport's extremely cheap because it is a fairly small city. We're a medium-sized university with about 18,000 students on campus, over 160 nationalities. To be honest with you, most universities are very international now. We've got about a 25% international student base. Okay. So with the Russell Group, basically what that means is that it's seen as a very prestigious institute, much like the Ivy League in the States. And some of you may think, well, why does that matter? It does in certain industries. For example, if you want to go and work in law, it very much matters the quality of the law school and the ranking of the law school that you've studied at. And that's because often to become either a solicitor or a lawyer, you will need to get certain types of work placements, and they hire whilst you're studying. So you don't have a full degree yet, but you've got the credit of the actual law school that you've managed to get into, which works in your favor. And it's similar in other technical industries as well. And that's why it's important. So let's have a look at some of those rankings. So the Guardian Good University Guide ranks as 20th. We're on average 20 throughout most of them, which is excellent. There's about 165 universities in the UK. What I would say is that when you're considering your options, choose one university ranking system and stick to it. The reason that's important is because the different ranking systems look at very different qualities. So for example, the Times, they'll look a lot at research. And so that's really important for somebody who's going to do a PhD. And whilst research is important for undergraduate students because it feeds through into the teaching, teaching quality might be more important. So if you were studying an undergraduate or a fully postgraduate taught course, I would be inclined to look at the Guardian rankings. So choose a ranking system and stick to it. And these are some of the top 10 ranked courses that we have. So within biology, of course, there's various biology courses. Within chemistry and business and management, there are lots of options. So we rank the departments as well as the overall university. What I really want to promote to you quickly is some free online courses that we've got, which are a great way of you experiencing our teaching quality and academic style. You can go onto our website now and sign up to one of these free courses, which usually run for about 4 weeks. They're flexible start dates. There's no entry requirements. There's no English requirements. There's no fees whatsoever. And we've got them in all of these different subject areas. So you can study that over summer whilst you're in lockdown. And that's a nice way and a productive way of filling some of your time. Go onto the website, search MOOC in the search bar, and you'll be guided through all of those. You can also contact me if you need further help. Now, finally, so the elephant in the room, obviously, I've seen down the comments column, quite a lot of people commenting on the currency conversion. Obviously, we can't do anything about that, but what we can do is offer you bigger scholarships. So what you'll find at York is that we do offer bigger scholarships than most of our competitors, between £10,000 and £15,000. So if you apply for a postgraduate taught course, that £10,000 scholarship could bring it down to about UK fees. So you wouldn't actually be paying international fees. For an undergraduate scholarship, you'd be looking at about £5,000 each year of study. And I can help you complete that scholarship application form. I offer one-to-one consultations in order to do it, to increase your chances, to try and get you ahead of the competition. But you must apply for a course first. I can only do that with you if you hold an offer for the course. Okay, we've got over 100 of those to give out. There is still time. The scholarships deadline is the end of this month. We have extended it. So please let me know if you make an application and you want to do that. There's my name and email address. You can contact me. I'm working Monday to Friday still, even though we're in lockdown. So I'll get back to you hopefully within a couple of days. Okay, so I'm just going to stop my screen sharing now, and then I think we'll head over for the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Sam. And now we are gonna go into the Q&A session. I will just announce it in Turkish and then I will get off the stage so you guys can go all on the stage. Şimdi arkadaşlar soru cevap kısmına geçiyoruz. Bütün yetkililer sahnede olacak. Hepsiyle aynı anda konuşabileceksiniz. Bütün sorularınızı questions kısmından yazarsanız oradan takip edebilirler. Özel olarak sormak istediğiniz bir üniversite varsa onun ismini başa yazıp sorarsanız daha rahat takip edebilirler. Genel olarak bir sorunuz varsa bütün üniversitelerin cevaplamasını istediğiniz o zaman belirtmenize gerek yok tabii ki. Okay, you guys, I'm going off the stage and you can go on the stage.
Hi again, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to all of us. We appreciate it was quite a lot of information for you to take in, and I think we were all going quite quickly just to make sure that you had enough time to listen to everybody. So I think the first thing that it might be worth us talking about is for everybody to talk a little bit about their application process and also a little bit about fees, because those are two questions that have come up a little bit in the chat. So if we want to just go around in order, so Karen, do you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, sure. So for the application process for undergraduate students, you would normally apply through UCAS. That's the centralised university system that we use in the UK. However, if you are looking for September intake and you haven't applied to through UCAS and you only want to come to Brunel, you can actually apply through an undergraduate direct application, and that's through one of our registered agents. So that's for undergraduate level. For postgraduate level, you apply online. The key things to have for postgraduate level is your transcripts to date, as well as your personal statements. For our university, we do not request the references in the first instance unless it's a professional course. And then if it's a borderline case, we may ask for references to follow up on that. Okay. For the fees vary between sort of 14,000 to 20,000, depending on the course itself. It's whether it's a laboratory-based subject or just a social sciences subject. So I think that probably just covers that in a nutshell there.
Cool, thank you. So for Oxford Brookes then, just to talk about the application process first. So we will accept both direct applications and UCAS applications. So for our direct application, what I'm going to do is just to post link into the chat here. So the direct application link is in the chat. You can apply for undergraduate and postgraduate courses if you apply directly to us. You can either use an agent or you can just apply by yourself if you feel like you don't need that support from somebody else. You can also apply through UCAS for undergraduate, but for postgraduate, so postgraduate is for master's degrees and PhD level, you will need to only apply directly. In what we would accept, so we would normally ask you to include a transcript, so something that shows your grades. So it could be your high school grades or your bachelor degree grades. That's the most important thing. So that's the thing that we need to be able to make a first decision. We also would usually ask for your personal statement, which tells us about your motivations for the course, why you're interested, those kind of things. You can find guidance on our website as well about writing personal statements. The second part we would need is we do ask for references, so one for undergraduate and two for postgraduate, and your English language. But as Karen mentioned, you don't have to always send all of those things in at once. You can send us the most important things, so the academics first. That will mean that we can make an offer if your grades are suitable, and then we can give you a little bit longer to send us the rest. In terms of the tuition fees and scholarships, so Oxford Brookes tuition fees are on the relatively low side compared to lots of other universities. So we made this decision so that we can enable as many students as possible to be able to access our degrees. So for that reason, we don't have a huge number of high-level scholarships available to students, but most of our degrees are between 13,000 and 15,000 on the whole. A few of them are in the 16,000 range, and that's for both undergraduate and for postgraduate degrees. So they're already not very different from what you would pay as a UK student, which is around £9,250. So we were running an international scholarship this year. So we had a £2,000 scholarship for international students who applied and got an offer early with us. That deadline has passed for this year, I'm afraid. but we do hope to be running something similar for next year. So you can always just keep an eye on our website. I'm just going to also post the link in here. So at the moment it doesn't have anything on it, but you can keep updated on the scholarships page there. So that's it for Oxford Brookes.
Okay, yeah. So for Queen Mary, just to really kind of touch upon what my colleagues have said, for undergraduate at Queen Mary, we only accept UCAS applications. So there's no direct application for an undergraduate student. You have to go through the UCAS process, submit your personal statement, your results, your references through the UCAS portal. For foundation, we have an online application system if you want to do the 1-year standalone foundation program, but some of our other programs are offered with an integrated foundation. And if you are doing this option, so a foundation year and then 3-year bachelor program, you would need to apply through UCAS as well. The postgraduate application system is very similar to the other universities that have spoken before me. You would apply via the course page on our website, submit a statement of purpose, obviously a transcript from your university or what grade you're currently working at, and also references as well, your English language qualifications as well. Again, they don't need to all come through at the same time. You can send them as and when as you're going through, but the statement of purpose, we would need that obviously when you make your application in the first place. In terms of our fees, as they're a little bit more expensive than the universities that have spoken now, so typically for undergraduate programs, you're looking at around £18,000 to around £25,000 per year. For medicine and dentistry, because we offer these programs as well, you're looking at £38,000 per year. That's something I should have mentioned in terms of the application process as well. So it's slightly different for medicine and dentistry. So the UCAS application is open from the 1st of September to the 15th of October for the next year's intake. So it's a very small window if you're looking at applying for those programs. We do have a medical program in Malta as well. So you still get a 5-year MBBS medicine option, and that's a direct application through our website. Postgraduate fees, again, typically range from around about £17,000 to 25 to 28. It depends on the program. They're very wildly, and then there's even more specialist medical and dental courses that are even more expensive than that. So that's Queen Mary.
Hi, for SOAS, similar to the other universities, for undergraduate, we only accept applications through UCAS. So we don't have any direct applications for undergraduate level. It's the same kind of setup, so you need one reference. And for postgraduate, it's a direct application. This is for both masters and for research. You'll need 2 academic references. It's a direct application. For research, you also need, we ideally ask for research students to contact the academics first and get pre-approval before you submit. So you need to get a proposal ready, get your PhD proposal pre-approved, and then submit an application, which is not dissimilar to the master's application in general. Foundation is also direct applications, and you have until now July to submit an application for this year and intake. In terms of fees, most of our fees, for our undergraduate fees for all programs are around £18,700 per year. For master's programs, we have a range, but they are in the range of £20,000 to £23,000, and it's a 1-year program in most cases. In terms of scholarships, there is in one of the answers I've responded to a link to our scholarships page. There aren't that many scholarships available, but what is available is on that link there.
Hi, so quite a quick answer. We accept UCAS applications, but also direct applications for undergraduate and postgraduate. I will put a link into the chat box, so it's very easy to apply online. We do like you to do it through an agent, but you can apply independently online as long as you have your grades, your transcripts, your letter of motivation, your personal statement, English language level, and also an academic reference or 2. If you don't have all of those, we can give you a conditional offer until you then send us all the bits of information we need. So it's very easy to apply. As for fees, undergraduate, all the degree courses are the same price. So that's £13,250 for undergraduate, £12,250 per year, and postgraduate, again, all the same cost, £13,650. We do have scholarships. We're encouraging scholarships this year. Again, not full scholarships. So yeah, please don't ask about a full scholarship. It is a discount. So for undergraduate, £3,000 discount from year one, and for postgraduate, £1,500 discount. You might be able to go a bit higher for strongest students, but I'll put the information in the chat box now. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so for us at York, it's direct applications for postgraduate taught and UCAS only for undergraduate. We won't accept any direct applications for undergraduate. Okay, so for undergraduate, guidelines just go onto the UCAS website. For postgraduate taught, you apply direct through the website. It's a very simple step-by-step process. We've actually scrapped the reference requirement. You don't need any references to apply for us during COVID-19 circumstances. The idea is that speeds up the offer that we can give you so that you can then apply for one of our £10,000 or £15,000 scholarships. Okay, so I'm just going to post the link for the scholarships in there. In terms of the prices, it depends on whether you're studying a classroom or a lab-based course like chemistry, the difference being the cost of upkeep for the facilities that we use. So you're looking at about £17,000 per year for a classroom-based course, and about £21,000 to £22,000 for a lab-based course. That's both undergraduate and postgraduate, but that is why we offer the bigger scholarships as well. Okay.
So I think the next question that we will try and answer is about careers and working while you are studying. So if we want to just go around again and everybody answer as well. So Karen.
So for us, we have, and probably the same with the other universities, so we have a dedicated team, so a professional development centre that will support you throughout your studies. So you just need to go and visit their offices. They'll work with you with your CV writing, your interview techniques. And because they have links with the companies, they know what the companies are looking for. So you're more likely to be successful at interview. We also have a job shop. So they advertise all the jobs on campus as well as in the local area. So again, the team there will help support you through your careers. You also have like dedicated careers fairs, and each of the departments run their own specialist careers events as well. So there's lots of opportunities there for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to continue from that, first of all, just to say for students who are studying on a Tier 4 visa, you can actually work part-time while you are studying. So at the moment, the limits for that are 20 hours per week. And that usually includes not just working on campus. So lots of us universities will have opportunities for you to get a job on the main campus itself. So it could be as a student ambassador, it could be working in one of the cafes or restaurants, and lots of other opportunities. But it also includes working in the city centre, so you could get a job in a shop or any kind of other opportunity. So we do have a careers service as well. So our careers centre will help you with part-time work. So we do have job listings. The careers advisors can help you with how to complete your application. You can do mock interviews and get some checking of your CV and that kind of thing. So you can use them for both part-time work that you would do during your studies, but also for more career advice for when you graduate. So you're able to access all of those services for up to 3 years after you graduate as well. And the Careers Centre have a lot of contacts with employers within the local area in particular. So there will be particular areas that employers are looking for. So with Oxford Brookes particularly, they come looking for architecture students, for hospitality students, engineering. We host a lot of events for our School of Law, for example. So we have a full timetable that runs throughout the year, focusing on different elements of law. So whether you want to be a solicitor or a barrister, and lots of other focuses. So there are lots of events that every faculty will run individually. So we have a lovely big forum area. That's where kind of it's the student hub. So we have freshers fairs and all sorts that go on there. And that's where we have lots of careers events. So all the employers come into the university campus. You can mingle with them, you can ask questions, and you get an opportunity to meet with them. It's also worth saying, I know a number of us have talked about work placements during your studies, and that's a really good opportunity, not just because it's something that you can put on your CV when you graduate and you've done not just studying, but you've also worked, but also because some of our students actually come away with job offers from the end of that. So if you make a really good impression during your work placement, you have the opportunity to therefore be able to secure a job at the end. The last thing to mention is just about the post-study work visa option. So that's something that the government have introduced. We're still waiting for full details about how exactly you will be able to qualify and apply for that. But from our understanding, this will be in place for students graduating from the summer of 2021 onwards. And the idea behind this scheme is that it allows students who are on a visa to be able to easily switch from your student visa into another kind of visa that means you can work for up to 2 years. So you get the opportunity to find a proper graduate job, and you don't have to go through the same difficult processes that you might have to go to if you were just applying separately for a job within the UK. So it's like a buffer period for you to be able to get some work, and hopefully then be able to find a career option for you in the UK. So I'm just going to stop there and pass it on.
I think really, Lucy, you've covered everything that needed to be said on that. I think I'd just reiterate at Queen Mary as well, we obviously have our own careers and enterprise team. Again, we offer those workshops for interview skills, CV writing, and a jobs database for part-time work. And we support you for 2 years after you've studied as well. I would say not all courses at Queen Mary are offered with that year in industry option. So be very careful when you're looking at the course and your applications that if this is something that you want to do, that it's offered as part of the course. But what I would say is a lot of our schools, if you can't get the placement year as part of your course, will try and help you as best as they can over the summer with finding any internships as well, because the academics that are teaching you, a lot of them will have their own networks, their connections. They will be able to support you as best as they can as well. We have an on-campus careers event, which is attended by all the schools and lots of other local businesses. But also each individual academic school will have their own kind of mini careers event more tailored towards your kind of interests. Another thing that I found when I was studying, so I studied at Queen Mary as well, we used to have lots of kind of guest lectures or out of hours kind of lectures by politicians, businessmen, these kind of things. And these are good opportunities to kind of meet employers in these fields, to put your questions to these people. It's not part of your course, it's something to do in your free time, but it's another way that you can help develop your networks going forward as well when you come to the world of work after you've graduated.
Hi, for SOAS, I think it's exactly the same as every other institution. Most of it's been covered. We do have a careers team. We're part of the University of London as well. So our careers team is actually joint with the University of London. It means that the careers team themselves rotate from different universities. So they could be at LSE 1 year and then come to SOAS 1 year. So they are specialists in many fields. So when they come and give you advice, it's more rounded advice. A lot of SOAS students end up in more global kind of jobs after they graduate. So at SOAS, because of the nature of the institution, you're looking more at kind of global industries. You're looking at anything from the UN to non-governmental organizations and things like that. So you'll get more of those kinds of organizations coming to SOAS to give you workshops and opportunities to talk to them. But everything else kind of remains the same as every other institution. So I'll pass you over to Greg.
Yeah, very obviously take up that to work 20 hours a week on your visa if you can. Our work placements that I mentioned maybe work a little bit differently to other universities. It's not a year in industry, it's done as a module. So it is done as a kind of class that you study. So for example, usually it's in the second semester of year 2, if you select the work placement module, effectively, you will have that work placement for 1 day a week, and then the other days you have your other classes at the university. So you don't break your study, you don't extend it, it's kind of integrated into the course. So it's a very attractive option. But apart from that, yeah, very similar to what the other universities have: career guidance, career help, all that kind of thing. Okay, Sam?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, like any good university will have these placement centres and things like that where you can go and work on your CV, your interview skills and everything. Because we're ranked on that as well in our links with good employers. But what you really, really need is that determination to go and seek that stuff out for yourself, make yourself known to your tutors. Like you're not going to get much career advice for biology from a careers and place. It's the tutor who knows the industry, not them. They'll help you with your development skills and stuff. But just make yourself known. Be one of those students that the tutors are likely to approach if an opportunity comes up, because they know your name, because you've been forward with things and outspoken. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, great. So I noticed that there was a question about from a pharmacist who is interested to know about universities with a public health or a similar related degree. I think it might just be helpful if we could post a link rather than spending a long time, because it's quite a specific question. But if all of us who offer a public health course can post the link in the chat, then you can hopefully have a look and see if that course would be something that would be suitable. So I'm just going to post the link in here as well.
Do we know if that's postgraduate or undergraduate?
I believe it was postgraduate. I believe it's postgraduate. Okay, just having a look at the questions that are coming up along here and seeing if there's anything in particular that's coming up. There may be some specific questions for different universities. I can see a question at the top that says, if an individual graduated from university with 100% English education, is it compulsory to get English level with various exams? I think that will vary depending on the university. So do we want to go around again? Shall we? Everyone want to specify about their university?
Happy to start. So yes, I think the thing is that we are aware there are universities that will be taught in the medium of English. So we would need to have further information about the university itself. We'll check with our director of our Brunel Language Centre to see whether that would meet our English language requirements, or whether we would recommend an alternative qualification.
So for Oxford Brookes, normally what we would do is we'd look at the country where you've studied your degree. So normally if you've studied a degree in an English-speaking country, then we would be able to accept that as evidence of English instead of another qualification. At the moment, we're unfortunately not accepting qualifications studied in Turkey. We can accept additional qualifications, though, from different providers. So a few people have already mentioned this, so things like TOEFL, alongside IELTS and Pearson, as well as another qualification we can accept. We do have some country-specific qualifications too. I'll post in the chat in a second a link so that you can see all of the qualifications that we would accept instead of IELTS. So maybe if you haven't studied all of your qualifications in Turkey, maybe you studied somewhere else, there might be a different qualification that you've taken. The key thing is here really, if you've got something that you've taken that you think might qualify you, universities are very, very open for you to email them. So usually just drop an email to, say, the admissions team or to one of us as a key contact, and we can check that out for you as well.
Yeah, I think to echo that, we are really your first point of contact with the university. So when you're, beginning your application and you have any of these questions about English language qualifications and you have something that you think might meet our requirements, yeah, feel free to send it through. We'll speak with the admissions team. What I would say for Queen Mary, we would need the full degree to be taught and examined in English, and we need a letter from the university specifying that. Even still, that's not a guarantee. So that's looked at by our admissions team on a case-by-case basis. And it also looks at how long ago you achieved, say, your undergraduate degree in this course. So I think we have a maximum of 2 years. If it's any longer than that, you would still need an English language qualification, but they can look at it on a case-by-case basis. I would say another thing to look out for at the moment, it may not be specific to this, but as we've spoken around in our presentations about the new forms of English language qualifications that we're accepting as institutions, I think because of the global situation, universities are becoming slightly more flexible in terms of these requirements. So again, just reinforce, just ask us, we can speak with the admissions teams and we can help as much as we can on these things.
Hi, actually for SOAS, if you're studying at one of 5 institutions in Turkey, we do exempt your English. So the institutions are Boğaziçi, Koç, Sabancı, Metu, and Bilkent. So if you're at any one of those institutions, you've done your undergraduate degree, then you're exempt in terms of English. In terms of international schools, then there are some exemptions for some international schools, but it depends on the school and it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, for St Mary's, very much like Lucy at Oxford, really. It's done case by case, and generally, no, from Turkey, we would need an English language test. But yeah, I think there are a lot of options now. It doesn't have to be the full intense IELTS. It can be things like passwords, which can be done a lot more it's a bit more flexible, maybe a bit easier, a bit more convenient. Not easier in terms of content, but easier to kind of do. You can do it more at your own pace and things like that. So yeah, it's case by case, but in general, no, we would need an English language test.
And for York, yes, we will waive the English language for you if you can provide us with a letter from your high school or from your university on headed paper and signed, stating that the course you've studied was fully delivered and assessed in the medium of English language. We will accept that instead of an IELTS.
Okay, great. So just having a look here at some other questions. I have some university-specific questions, a couple for York University. So one of them is about entry requirements, so whether an SAT is needed. And one of them is asking about the courses that you mentioned for free and whether you could repost that link perhaps in the chat box as well. Let me just see if there's any others specifically for York. Yeah, I think those are the main questions at the moment. And something about business courses as well. So perhaps you could post a link about the business programs.
Okay.
Or just give a quick update on those.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to post a link here into the chat column for the free massive open online courses. So if you look at that, look through the disciplines available, click on them, and then you actually have to click like as if you're going to book the course to get the full description. But don't worry, you're not signing up for anything there at that point. So have a look through those and contact me here if you've got any follow-up questions. With regards to, sorry, what was the first question that you asked, Lucy?
Here, whether you need SAT or anything.
Okay, so an SAT is generally, it comes from the USA, and some schools tend to combine an SAT with some other stuff, thinking that it's enough to get you into university. But it doesn't always work like that, unfortunately. The university, the American university qualifications work as a package, SATs with other things. What we would look for is lycée diplomatie. Depending on the course, absolute minimum would be about 70%. If you went to an Anatolian high school as well, we would accept that for direct entry. If you're coming onto a postgraduate talk course, then we'd be looking for either a 2.8 out of 4 from a prestigious university or a 3 out of 4 for what we would consider not to be a prestigious university. Okay, and if you would like a link to our management department, the courses. Here we go. Okay. I would encourage you to read these department pages anyway, not just your course page, because it's important to know the department strengths, not just the particular university or the course that you're going for. It's the department that will often have a lot of the opportunities available. Okay.
Great. Okay. It looks like we've answered most of the questions that are in the chat at the moment. If anyone has any specific questions that they would like to answer, we have a little bit more time to stick around and answer those questions. So please do put them into the chat box and we'll try and get them. It may be that your question wasn't answered. If it was early on, maybe we missed it. So if that's the case, again, please just post it again. But just to echo what Sam was saying, I think we've had a few questions about rankings. And I think one of the most important things is to remember that your subject is really the thing that's going to impact your studies the most. So you may well study in a top 10 university, but it might be only top 50 for your particular course, whereas you might have a different university that has a particular strength in that course, but maybe is only top 50, not top 10. So I would say, and I think we would probably all agree with this, the biggest impact that you're going to find on your actual course and on your actual learning experience will be in relation to your subject area. So it's best to really dive into the subject area. So a few ways you can look at that. So you can look at the Times Higher Education. They will allow you to filter by particular subjects. You can look at UCAS. So UCAS have a lot of subjects. You can look at the different subject areas. They have some information there about the rankings too. You can look at the QS World Rankings as well. So they're quite useful. And you can look at the Guardian and a few others. I'm not sure if anyone else has anything that they want to suggest as a tool for looking at subjects.
Probably the Complete University Guide is another one as well.
Okay, I can't see the translated questions that that haven't yet been answered. Information on landscape architecture degrees. Okay, does anyone want to kick off with landscape architecture? Is this for undergraduate or postgraduate?
Unfortunately, at Brunel, we don't offer at either level in that subject area.
Queen Mary.
SOAS.
Okay, so for Oxford Brookes, we have our standard architecture, so the REBA accredited programs. We do also have a few programs in sustainable architecture, for example, so international architectural regeneration and development, sustainable architecture, development and emergency practice, humanitarian action and peace building, and shelter after disaster. I'm not sure if these are quite the programs that you are looking for, but I think they probably come a bit closer, but these ones are all postgraduate courses. So for undergraduate, we just have the standard architecture and interior architecture.
Then there was a question about a specific question about a student third year of business admin with 3.4 GPA and wondered whether you should apply for the MBA or any programs MSc related in Turkey. For Brunel, the MBA is AMBER accredited, so it does need 3 years post-managerial experience at a middle management level. So that's where it's different to other MBA programs. So then you'd then be looking at an MSc program in a management area. So that's for Brunel.
I think it's worth looking at all the different business options that are out there. Just have a look through the kind of module offerings, see if it's got your expertise areas, or see if it's got your kind of career aim areas. Because often students have this idea of doing an MBA, but it's not actually really the best course for them. So I'd recommend having a look at the whole portfolio of business postgrad courses to see which ones really kind of utilize your expertise and career goals. So it's worth taking a more detailed look at all the modules to make sure you're doing the right course.
That's the thing. Really think about what about business that interests you as a student. It's an easy question for Queen Mary to answer because we don't actually offer an MBA. So we only offer the MSc options, and they can be more specialized and more tailored into a certain area, but probably don't give you that overview that you're looking for if you're looking for, say, an MBA course or something like that. So just to reiterate what Greg says, look at the modules, look at the things that interest you the most about that subject, and follow that pathway. There's not an easy answer to that. Essentially, it's whatever, you know, excites you and interests you the most.
Just to sort of reiterate that as well, I think with an MBA, there's often a little bit of confusion as to what the difference is between an MBA and an MSc. A lot of students tend to find that although they think they want an MBA, what they really want is a taught on-campus MSc in business. So we find that that's typically what the majority of our students take. For an MBA, different universities will have different requirements for work experience, but typically MBAs are looking to get you ahead in your career. So of course, every master's will give the opportunity to get ahead in your career because you're getting an extra qualification at a well-known, well-ranked university. But MBAs tend to be focused on giving you that step up in your profession. So for example, our MBA is a global MBA, and we also require at least 3 years of managerial work experience. So it's very much focused on that management level and making the transition perhaps from middle management to a more senior executive level. And so that is an online blended learning course. If you're looking for something that is giving you an enhancement within your business field already, you're looking to maybe launch your own business, I would say an MSc is going to suit you much better. You'll get the on-campus delivery, so you get the campus experience, and you also get to benefit from on-campus provision that we have. So professionals within the industry, we have specific courses in enterprise and entrepreneurship. So for students who are interested in launching their own startups, you can actually follow a very within that, or you can do a combination with a few other courses. So business schools tend to be usually quite flexible on the combinations that you can do and the different opportunities that you have. It's also worth thinking about enterprise opportunities at each university. So we have an enterprise scheme called Brooks Enterprise, not very creatively named, and we will offer you the chance to pitch to get funding to start your own business. We've had quite a few students who've successfully managed to launch their own business off the back of that. You can do that actually as an undergraduate or as a postgraduate student. So those are the kind of opportunities that will probably make a bit more difference to you than maybe whether you take an MBA or an MSc. If you take an MBA, you're usually a particular type of student looking for something very specific in the next level up. Okay, do we have any more questions that have been missed that would like to be answered, or anyone would like to add anything else?
Right, so we'll just put our emails in the chat box, just so it's all in one place for them to get, because I think mine was covered and we've all put different information out. So if we just list our emails so that we've all got them. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, great. So we'll look in the chat box. I think we're going to draw this to a close now, unless anything pops up. But make sure that you do note down all of our email addresses that are going to come up in the chat, and then you can just contact any of us if you have any specific questions for us.
Thank you very much for all of you. It was a great presentation. It was a really special event. I hope that everyone could get some benefit. It's good for you to put your emails on the chat box so they can reach you if they need to ask more questions. Anything else do you guys want to add? No? All right. Well then, thank you. We'll hope to see you in Turkey sometime after all this COVID-19 situation resolves. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.